Hi everyone, I'm Heini from Earthster, and this session is about introducing to Earthster and related feature updates. If this is your first time attending these events, what you get to expect is a short demo, both of existing features and upcoming features. And today one is a really special one because I'm going to show you parameters. But in addition, if you're the first time, you might be wondering, what is Earthster? Earthster is a collaborative LCA tool that you can do eco design with. And that comes from the calculation magic that we have behind our software, which is a web-based software that whenever you're changing any value, it updates straight away. So it's a dynamic model that lets you play with your data really quickly. And I'm going to show you that in a moment. Before we get to the demo itself, I would like to remind you that anytime you have questions, please write it in the comments area. And if you experience any issues with the streaming, just reload your LinkedIn page and click to join again because it might kick you out. And please ask questions. I can explain some parts in more detail if I'm going fast, or I can show you other things. And that's it. So that's it about Earthster. It is a really quick intro. So remember, it's an awesome LCA tool that you get to see how it works. And let's get into the demoing itself. Today, I'm planning on show you an LCA model built by Daniel. And he designed this as a sort of template, your own template. Earthster has already existing templates that you're able to use as a starting point for your cycles, but this one is done by him. And the main idea with this template is that it's adjustable. So I want to show you a way how you can model your LCAs in a way that you can adjust it based on the specific product. And even though it doesn't mention here what is an adjustable model, this is a packaging model. And what you see now here in front of you is the main view of an LCA model. We call this a cycle. You can see the three main stages: production, distribution, and use and end of life. Both are combined in the use stage. And just with one look, you're already able to see that for producing this particular product, the biggest environmental impact is in the production stage. Let's see what's in it. You click on the circle and it opens the next level, that what is it built of. And here you can see that the biggest impact is coming from the box itself. And if we lower the threshold, what you're able to see, it shows all the available different processes that are added into this cycle. This is how it looks in visually. As you can see, you can zoom in and out and click around, see more, explore the data that, for example, under this box, what's in there. You click on it and it opens its children. So it opens the part that what is it made of. And you can dig deeper. And once eventually you reach the part of where your model ends, all the light blue circles are part of your own model. And the ones that gives you the opportunity that says explore, you are starting to explore the database itself. So for example, this one that I clicked on, I think it was market waste for mineral oil. That's an eco-invent process. And that particular eco-invent process is built from these processes inside. And this you're able to explore further and further. And the beauty of this explore functionality is when you're building your models, you're able to see any of the eco-invent processes to be able to decide better that is this particular process something that you want to add in your model or not, and find a better one. And this helps you make better decisions. But let's see. So this is the visual part of an LCA model in Earthster. This is how it looks. But of course, there is data behind the visuals. When you click on the circle itself, it centers it. And when you click on it another time, it opens what we call the drawer. In here, you have all the bits and pieces that the model is built of. Every stage has its own drawer. And you're able to sort these based on name, value, impact. And then that's especially useful when you have a lot of inputs. In this example, there's not a lot. So what can you see in this example? You have an input that says custom. Actually, these all says custom. And you can see from this icon that this is an input to your LCA model. Now, if this would be an output to your model, it would be super simple to change it. Look, you just click here, and now it's an output. As you can see, the impact has changed. Now it's minus 300 grams of CO2 equivalent. And if I click back, it puts back the original. And that's the way when you're building your model, adding processes, you define whether a process is an input or an output. It helps you a lot, and you don't have to think that, okay, do I have to put a minus sign or a plus sign? You just define that it's an input or an output, and whatever value, whether the process itself has an inherent negative value, like for example, waste management processes, you don't have to think twice that is it a plus or a minus. You just use the input output. And yeah. Any questions so far? If you do, please start adding some in the chat area. And then let me change my view in my streaming system that I actually see those questions. Now, the interesting thing in this model, what you can see is it's adjustable. So there's a bunch of custom processes that by changing that value, you change the ingredients of it. For example, let's see. The model says we have 90 grams of box. Let's see what it's built of. You click on the box itself. Inside there's a waste management bundle. A bundle is a group of processes that you're saying that these belong together. But the bundle doesn't calculate, but the custom process does. As you can see here, what we are saying here that 90 grams of box, all the information we add in here is per 1 gram. So to produce 1 gram of box, we need a small amount of cardboard. There is some lid, some utilities used, infrastructure, even the waste management inside, and all this information is added based on 1 gram of box. And why this is important? So when you are going outside and you want to see, what if I have 100 grams of box? Look, you just change this, values update automatically, and you see the new value. And this gives you the eco design capability, like really fast. And this one is built in a way that there is the yes, no option. This is an innovative way of using custom processes, because when you're putting the value 1, you're saying, yes, there is a film cover. Let's go see what's in it. There's only 2 processes. It's a plastic film. And now let's see if we say that, no, in this model that I'm now adjusting, we don't have one. You just say 0, and that's it. It calculated it. And now in this model, we don't have it anymore. Same thing with the stickers. You can say that we have 2 stickers, and it updates it. And as you can see, it updates it super fast. Now, so this is when your model is already ready. It's when you start a new cycle, a new LCA model, you have the choice of starting it from scratch, so there's nothing in it, or you can use the existing templates, which is not the same as this one. This is a self-made template. This is not yet available for users, but we have about 440 templates that use the input-output database, the USEIO database, and added in there use stage, uses end of life data. And those are a really good starting point for you to play around with data, see how you're comparing with averages. But when you're modeling your LCAs, I always recommend to start from scratch. Now, when you have started one, I can show you, we can go out to the workspace itself. This is a workspace. Workspaces are kind of like a group of cycles that you want to combine them based on something. It's in a way either a collaboration zone or a folder, because every single workspace has its own set of users with their own rights. For example, this one has a lot of people in here, and let's see, most of them has viewer rights, and that's on purpose because I don't want any of my colleagues to be able to tamper with my models. I want to, but they don't. But they get to see my models and make a copy out of them and use it as their own. Super useful for collaborating within your team, especially when you have a setup that one of the persons is the LCA expert who is building the models and the others are the ones who are utilizing it in their modeling. For example, the sales guy in the packaging department. Because once the template has been created, once the model exists, they are able to modify it. And they don't need to be LCA expert to be able to say that is it 5 grams or 10. It's the expert is the one who pre-does it. Now let's go back in here. So we have our model, and I lost my thought what I wanted to mention. I'm sorry about this. Yes, so then let's go back to the workspace. Here, you create a new cycle, you just click create new. There is a little wizard that goes through and helps you define the scope of your cycle. You have to give a name. You can you should mark in there all the goals. Why are you doing the LCA? And it helps you set up in the beginning, and then you're good to go. But we're not gonna do that today. We don't have enough time for that. So when you have your cycle and you're starting to build it, and let's imagine we would need to add new processes in here. Let's go, for example, to the use stage. And there is one process called market group for municipal solid waste. You can see that this is an output. Since it's a waste management, it is supposed to be an output. And now I'm going to add a new process. Doesn't matter which one we add. So I'm just going to choose a random one. For example, oh yeah, this is really important, the way you search for processes in Earthster. You type multiple keywords. For example, you start writing plastic, and then it shows you all the relevant processes that the name plastic either shows up in the name here or inside the description of the process itself. So it searches for all of those, and it says that this is likely to have something plastic. And now look what happened. With plastic, we got more than 7,000 results. I don't want to go through one by one. It's like, no way. The next step to do is refine your search results. So either add another keyword, you just add another word, you can add several. But the first what I would do rather is select that, are you looking for a processing processing process? So for example, in the plastic, there's injection molding, extrusion, and then there is, as a material product, there is plastic granules, for example, polypropylene. There is infrastructure, waste management, you have electricity, doesn't show up here. And those help you select or filter results. Look, so now we are going to say that we want to see only material products. You click here, and it dropped down to 2,800, pretty good. Then we are able to also filter the results based on units, geography, and origin. As you can see that origin, for example, this is an eco-invent process. I'm able to say that, no, I don't want an eco-invent process. I'm looking for a UCIO one. Or I could even say that I'm looking for a user-created cycle. Look, all these that says Earthster are actually our own organization cycles that are publicly available in the database, or they are visible because they are available for my user, because I'm part of that organization. So you might find a lot of cycles from us that are for fun. So whenever, that's one warning, when you find a user created cycle, always check it. That is it actually good data, or someone was just playing around? So that's, you have to do the checking. We don't do any of validation at this point. But let's imagine we add the process. Let's actually use instead echo invent. So we are going to add this one. No, that's not an echo invent, but doesn't matter. We add the process. It opens you this drawer, and you say that we are going to use these plastic plates and shapes. Let's say $12. Now this is important because the USEIO database is based on monetary value coupled with the environmental impact. So all of this is in dollars because it's from the United States, the data. And you get to choose from modern dollars, so this year's value of the dollar, as a buyer or as a seller. So for example, if I'm the one producing these laminated plates, I would use the seller price. But because this case, I'm the one buying it, I say that I'm the buyer and it costs us $12. And that's it. You can either click the button, done editing, or just click out anywhere. And it auto-saves everything. Then, let me see, we have some questions. Let me see. Okay, let me see. So Robert is asking, can you use Earthster to conduct both CLCAs and ALCAs, consequential system model and attributional system model? This is a tough question for me, so I will ask from our team that which one is the right one. What I'm able to answer is that, for example, the EcoInvent database, what we have in, so when you're searching for processes, that's based on the cutoff model. But I'll dig out the rest. This is the first time I encounter this question. Then another question, Nick is asking, is an output equivalent to a sink? I'm not sure what you mean with a sink, but an output, you can see it in a way that, so when you're modeling your LCA, you have certain inputs into the model. So for example, for this to phone exists, it has inputs, raw materials, energy, and all that kind of things. And outputs would be all the wastes, emissions during production, what else? Basically those. So that is an output of an LCA. And in this case, mainly those are waste management processes. Okay, so it's more about why why it has a negative value. Oh, that we can spend probably more time on it. It's the way LCA is modeled, and so how to explain? All these circles, what they represent, they're saying that there is an environmental impact of a certain activity. So in this case, in this model, we have 6.42 kilos of CO2 equivalent. If we change the impact method to water use, now the circles look a bit different, and our total is 553 cubic meters. Now, when you're having an output, what you're saying is that I'm not good at explaining this. So let's go back to the climate change. So as an output, for example, if you recycle paper, if the environmental impact, it says it's minus, it means it's a sequestration process. So it means that when you do this particular processing, it takes from the environment CO2. And when you're emitting it, I'm using the word terminology. I'm sorry. I will look it up how to explain it better. I'm sorry. I think it's not an easy task in a live session. But Ayo is helping me out, and she's saying that the cutoff makes it attributional LCA. And that is, thank you, Ayo, for helping me. Okay. So, this is how you're building models. So we added one. You're able to swap them. You're saying that, okay, I found a better one. I heard from my colleague that instead of the USEIO, we would use something from Eco England. And let's say plastic sheet. Let's see what we find. This one, for example, that's a processing. We add this. And now what's going to happen is that it swaps with my existing one to this one. So it kept the $12. But of course, now this is in kilos. So I need to say that we are going to use 1.5 kilos. This one, when you're adding values, it works both with commas and dots. Depending on region, where you are from, and what you're used to, you can use commas or dots, and you can even mix them. The system will not complain to you. And as you can see, it calculates, saves everything nicely. Okay, now let me see. I showed you now basics of adding new processes, swapping, a bit of exploring the data, and in general, how the model behaves. There's one other important thing that what you normally do when you have an LCA model is you might want to compare models with each other. You have an option to, for example, this is a copy. I have another version of it, and we have now modified this one. And if I want to compare this one with the original, I click inside here, saying compare. It already adds to the comparison this model, where I click from. You go to the settings, and from there, you add a new reference. And then what you need to do is look up your own cycle. Now, an awesome trick, especially if you don't remember the name of your cycles, that's one tip. Name them smartly. Even if the name of the cycle becomes super long, it's better to name them smartly, because this way you find it yourself. But the trick is you can use your own organization's name. Look, I put Earthster, then I'm going to mark it that show me only Earthster. We are so many people who are doing models, so there is a lot. So now I'm going to say adjustable. And as you can see, it kept the filter, adjustable model, and I think it's this one that I have named. You're able to take a look. Also, click on the button, see what's in there. When you click here, view as a cycle, it opens your new tab, and you're able, in view mode, to see what's in it. Is that the one that you're looking for? And it is. We go here, we add it, add cycle. You're able to add several. You can say just select, and then you click compare. And now it's updated our model. Now the interesting part here, what you can see is that you're able to select in your models whether you're comparing the production unit of the cycle or the functional unit. And that's something cool in Earthster, because you can have both. And in many products, I recommend you to have both. Look what happens. So these models had the basic production unit was just called unit. It wasn't specified. Then there is something with kilos, use of the box, days of shelf life, and cubic meters packed. So if I say that I'm going to now compare one or the 3,000 box with 3,000 boxes, I can also say that one box, thank you, with one box. And then the environmental impact, you see the impact itself. And what you see here is our 5 main impact categories. So damage to human health, resource availability, damage to ecosystems, climate change, and water use. That's what comes with the basic subscriptions. So for example, professional and collaborative. If you need access to more, then you need to have a full equipment license. Let me show you. If you have a full equipment license, let us know. We are able to activate it for you inside Earthster for free. So it's worth doing it. Now, my user has a full equipment license, and I have here the option of other. When I click here, it gives me new impact assessment methods that you don't see without the license. You can see that we have the recipe 2016, several end and midpoints, then an environmental footprint 3.1 and TRACI. And this is one of the going to the feature updates. That's one of the feature updates we have. So TRACI is a new one. You click here. The next step, you select the actual category that you are interested in seeing for your own cycle. And let's say we are going to say human health, cancer. You click view impact. This takes a bit longer. It calculates it, and once it shows you, it opens you a new tab. And if for any reason it doesn't open you a new tab, make sure that your browser is not blocking the pop-ups. And now it takes longer than I expected it. Sometimes this happens. Yep, now it opened it. So what you're seeing here is the live view of the same cycle that we were editing a moment ago. And it's a live view because even though it's your own cycle, you cannot edit these values. And this is to make it like relatively fast. If this would be editable, it would take a long time to be able to show the values. So it's much better this way, that you get to see and click around the same way as with all the 5 impact categories. Look, just like this, explore your own data, see everything. And yep, these are CTU cancer. And then you just go back to the other one and choose another one, or even from here, you can click to view another one. And if we go back here, as you can see, we are still in the edit mode. And yep, I see some people are excited that we have TRACI. Yes, that's one of the new features. And I'm also liking it. But exactly, to access though, to have access to those, you need a full license, full equipment license. So it's not an Earthster related license. It's their data, and they are the ones in control of it. Now let me see. It's about almost half past, and any questions? So this was more or less the demo. It was a mini demo, sort of mini training. And one thing good to know is that if you take a new subscription, it includes 2 hours of training, like proper training. And but today I want to show you parameters. They are awesome. I'm really excited about them, but they are not ready yet. So I'm going to switch to our test environment, and I'm going to show you it from there. There might be bugs, it might crash on me, but this is normal. It's still in development, and that's why it's not released yet. And if you're interested in user testing, because we want to make Earthster the most usable, like how to say it? So user-friendly and intuitive. That's our goal. With every feature we add, we want it to be just click, 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 and you're like, this is obvious. That's the goal with parameters also, because usually they are not simple to understand. So I'm going to show you my model, what I've been building. And if you're interested in user testing, send me a message. Let me show you here. You can send to heine@earthster.org or even on LinkedIn. And also, if you want to have early access to the parameters, let me know. We might be able to let you use it as long as you're aware that there is bugs. Now let's go to our test environment. Here. Looks the same, of course, because it's the same code, different data. So there is no user data in here, so only the ones that I've been playing with or our team. And I demoed the model I did is about a packed fruit. This idea came from when I was in the store and I found packed apricots that proudly was saying on the packaging that 0 kilometers, that they are from Valencia, they are produced here nearby. And then next to them, there were the same apricots produced in Murcia without packaging. And I was really, really upset that how can they package everything? So I wanted to model it. And this model is something in between, but the idea is coming from there. So what you see here is packed apricots, about 250 grams, if I remember correctly. We'll check it in a moment. And as you can see, that the biggest environmental impact is coming from production. Now let's see. I modeled separately the fruit production and packaging. Look how huge impact is coming from a bit of cardboard and plastic to pack the fruit in, compared to the distribution, which is 250 kilometers in this model. If we open this, you can see the bundles, what I was mentioning, that those are just put things together. So inside fruit production, I have two processes. One called apricot production, and the other one the peach production. So these are eco-invent processes. Here you can see it. And Spanish data even. Now, something new that you see compared to what you were seeing before, there is this icon. This one shows that there is a parameter being used. And when you click on it, it opens for you the formula editor. So where you actually define your parameters, that how are you going to use it. And this one is a super simple definition. So what I'm saying here, that process equals to the fruit apricot. So this is a type parameter. I'll show you in a moment. And the fruit weight. So I have those two parameters, and these are governing this process. And look, what it's saying is exactly the selected fruit in the parameters is apricot, and the fruit weight is 0.25 kilos. So that's why the result is 0.25. Now, and kilos, because the eco-invent process is in kilos. Now the peach one says 0. And if we go in here, look, it's exactly the same formula, except it says fruit.peach, which I'm specifying that the type of fruit I'm using here should be peach. And the reason why this is 0 is because how I have defined the parameters. Look, we go in here, there is the new button, parameters. You open it, and this is how it looks when you have already many. So I have set for this packaging, I have decided that I need a parameter to know the weight of the fruits, the transportation distance, the fruit option. So I was thinking to see that, okay, is there any difference if I use peaches instead of apricots or any other type of fruits? And then there's the cardboard box that's sitting on top, and then the plastic film. And these are my parameters for this model. So kind of like things that can change in my model. And what you can see here is how many times it is used. So this model is already set up. And for example, so let's see, weight of the fruit. So we had it here. So we added the production here, the apricot, it's used here. Then now let's go to packaging. The packaging one, I'm saying this is even simpler, the parameter itself. Look, it says plastic weight. It takes it straight away. That list, what you saw a moment ago, that it was defined there, that is 0.005. If now I go and change the parameter here, look, there you go, switch this. Oh, and these values are my guesses. So I don't know how far am I. Is it really 5 grams or more? let's say 7 grams. We save the parameter, it updates it. At this point, you have to reload the page, or I have to, because it still doesn't work well. And we go in here, and as you can see, it has updated the value. So this is amazing when you have dependencies within processes. For example, transportation. So transportation is defined that what I'm saying is the transportation distance multiplied by the fruit weight plus the plastic weight plus the cardboard and divided by 1,000. Because this process is in metric ton kilometers and I have my values in kilos. So this is an awesome way to finally be easily calculating metric ton kilometers. I know some of you are having difficulties with it, but once you learn to add these formulas, it does it for you. And this is the way. So it's like, so now if I change the packaging to be 300 grams, it updates the kilometers or the metric ton kilometers. And the same thing goes to the use phase of it itself. I have created bundles that says use and waste management separately. In use, there's water use. There's an assumption that how much water you're needing to wash an apricot. Then if we go here in waste management, I added throwing away the seed, recycling the cardboard box, and recycling the plastic. And they have their own parameters, all of them. And some of them are this simple, that I'm specifying that it's a minus because it's an output. At least in the formula at this point, you still have to do that. Maybe in the future not, but that's the way of saying it, that it's an output. And this is how you use parameters. Now let's see, I saw one that was missing. So how do you add one? In the packaging, I noticed that I have added craft paper production, but I'm saying that it's 0.3 kilos instead of with the parameters. This is supposed to be the cardboard box. So when you have added already a process, this is a normal process. So if I open it here, you can see that it's a EcoInvent process from Europe. And there's 2 ways of adding it. When you're in this view, you click into the value and you type equal mark. It opens the calculator like this. The same thing happens if you go from here and you click the button calculate. Look, we go here, and because this was the cardboard, in this case, the syntax, the formula syntax is as simple as saying that this is the cardboard. I just click here, that's it. I say save. Super simple. And sometimes it shows a 0 now or empty, but that's because it's not ready. Look, if you go back there, now it has nicely calculated everything. Okay, let me see. Is there any questions? So, one of the questions, where do you usually include the end of life stage? In the production or the examples cradle to gate? It depends on where the waste management truly belongs to. For example, let's go back to the other example, the box example. Here, you can see that there is recycled content, for example, inside the box. There is a bundle called waste management. What this waste management is about is waste created during the production of the box. So when the box was made, it was cut out in a way, and there's bits and pieces that needs to be thrown away. That's the waste management part of production. And now when we go out here and see the full model, the use and waste management, let's see, it says also, it does here, for example, there's no bundle for it. It's not specified, but you can clearly see that these are the waste management processes. This is the end of life waste management. So that's the grave part in a way. Yeah, not in a way, it is. So that means that the box has been produced, has its own waste, it's been distributed. So there's transportation, being in a warehouse, and then it ends up in use phase, which means that a company packed in there something and eventually ends up at your store and you take it home. You open the package and you throw that away. Now that belongs to the use and end of life stage because that happened because of the usage of the product. And that part of the waste management goes there. Did I answer your question? I think so. Okay, we have still some time. I'm much faster today than I expected. So let's go back to parameters. As you can see, parameters give you a lot of playground. You can play with the data. And the idea behind parameters is that you're able to build scenarios. And you're able to compare these scenarios with each other. So for example, I have built already a few. If I click here, actually it will build a new one. So look what happens. You click here and what you do is you define that for this scenario, I want to see what happens with my environmental impact if, let's say it's a half a kilo package. Half a kilo, same transportation, apricot. The box needs to get bigger, but maybe it's not double. Let's say it's only that amount and the plastic needs to be, I don't know, I'm gonna guess 12. Actually, like, did I put it right? No. Anyway, you understand what I mean. So you update the parameters, you click add scenario, you name it. You can leave it like this where you see the actual values, or you can say bigger package, and then you save it. Then you go ahead and change some values. Let's see, we are gonna change the transportation to 500 kilometers. We add the scenario, bigger package, longer distance. And you save. And then when you have done all those, you click compare scenarios. It gives you a comparison. And now you're able to compare those base scenarios. And as you can see that I was silly enough not to put my default scenario in there, but it might be the case that you don't care about how you modeled it. You want to compare some specific scenarios with each other. And the parameters gives you the wiggle room of like, okay, I'm going to do it, slide it here. Actually, there will be soon sliders available, but that's not done yet. Now, let me show you. So this is a comparison where you're comparing two scenarios of a cycle with each other. And here you're saying the same way as you could choose the functional unit or production unit inside a normal comparison, this is the same thing. So I can say that I want to compare again one pack, again with one pack. And updates based on that. What's cool now is that, okay, I've seen this, but I'm able to change the parameters again from here. So I'm like, okay, I made a mistake. This needed to be another 0. You say apply changes, and that it crashes on you. Exactly what I was telling before about not everything being ready. That's one of those things. Anyway, the whole idea is that you're able to change parameters. You will be able to duplicate scenarios and then change the parameters. And it's a super fast way of getting more insight that what happens if I put the packaging? What happens if I don't? It's longer distance, different plastic, different fruit. Your results will be different. And when you have built it with parameters, it's just a few clicks to change it. And of course, now, depending on what is the purpose of your LCA, are you doing it for reporting purposes? Are you doing it for internal purposes, for eco design? You might want to duplicate your cycles, have different versions, and keep them somewhere nicely as kind of like visual reports. And yeah, so scenarios are awesome and they are gonna get improved even more. There's another aspect to parameters is, and in general, to Earthster, the way we connect data. Every cycle or every process you can connect with each other. So for example, here's another example. This is almost the same, but the difference what I've been doing here is I've been adding my own cycles into this model. So for example, there's packaging. Let's see if I click in here. You can see that the original cycle is one called packaging. Earthster is the author. That's ours, what we just did. I'm able to view it. If I don't remember what was it, I can say that, show me. And then I'm like, oh yeah, sure, it was this, great. And I'm using that one. Now, the beauty in here is that when you add your own cycle to your cycle, it kind of works like custom processes. So here I would be able to say that I'm using 2 packages, and it calculates it. And this, the best part of modeling like this is that, for example, if this same packaging is used in many different products, you should always do it like this. You model it in one cycle and then keep that up to date. And when, if you need to change that packaging, like the model itself, you update it, you issue a release. Here is the part. The releases are important. You issue a release, and what it does, the release, you're saying that this is now an official version, and I want the ones who are using this cycle to be notified about it. So it's in a way a push notification. It doesn't put your cycle public. It just tells the system that if there's a connection between 2 cycles, now it's the time to say, bing, there's something to update. And those are releases, versions of your cycle. Let's see, I think this one probably has many. When we open here, you can see releases. No, it has only one. Another interesting thing, what you can see in this particular cycle, is that I'm using 7 eco-invent processes. You can see them here. When we update to the latest eco-invent version, actually really soon, that's one of the upcoming feature updates, here you might see with many that there is an update available. There will be a button click saying update all if you want to update them. If you want to keep it as a legacy that it was modeled like this because I was modeling 2020, I want to keep it like that. Then what you can do is make a copy and update the newer versions and then compare with each other. What is the environmental impact? For example, exactly here, for example, it says click to update all, or I can click update one specific. I'm able to check the data, see where it is, and then I keep my data up to date. Now, this same connection exists outside of your organization. This is what you're seeing is within. So it says Earthster there, that's our own. Now, what I can do is I have a cycle, for example, this one. I'm able to share it with publicly with everyone. So whoever has access to Earthster is able to see it. And actually, if I share all levels, even with a link, they can access the model. They don't need to have an Earthster account. Sharing with customers is an awesome feature. What you can do is you can say that all my customers are able to see, let's say, total impacts, which means that they don't see the stages per stages impacts. They see the total one. So if you have secret processes, they don't see anything, but that's still better data than the average eco-invent process because you build it, you modeled it. And especially if you've done a good job, that's going to be an awesome data. And of course, depending on how much secrecy you need, you can say that, we're sharing everything. We love our customers. They need to see the whole model. There's no secrets. And they will be able to click around in your model. They can utilize it in their own cycles. And that way, we improve the environmental data, kind of like the data flow in the whole world. Every single LCA becomes better when we're able to connect them together. Because then you know that your supplier did a good job modeling. You're using that data instead of a random process that's sort of good enough. So it's something really, really cool. And we call this connected LCA, especially when you're connecting with your suppliers. And related to that, let's imagine I know the producer of the peaches, I know well, and I want to know their real environmental impact because they are producing without fertilizers, they are using bioproducts, and my assumption is that their environmental impact would be much better. What I do is I request an LCA from them, fill out the email, add a little message, and I click send request. What this does is that supplier will get the peach production cycle, so this eco process, as a starting point. So whoever is there gonna work on the modeling this, they have this already as a starting point. And they're able to say that, yeah, we use more mulching, we don't use fertilizers, and update the values. They issue a release. I get a notification on my cycle that, oh, there's something to update. I check it and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Yes, make it happen in my cycle. So update my cycle. And then that is now connected. So anytime they do a release, I get notified that there's something new to update. And that way, kind of like you're able to keep your LCA models alive. So it's no longer that you do an LCA 50-page report, goes into a drawer, and it stays there forever. No one uses it. Nope. You have a model that can change month by month depending on how, like when the data changes or if the processes are updated, I mean the production processes. And that way it gives you a much better visibility of the environmental impact of your products, portfolio, anything like that. Like Earthster is really flexible how you model your essays, and it works as well for products, services. Oh, you can even do carbon accounting. You just need to use the bundles to create the right scopes. EPDs, same thing. For EPDs, you also need the full eco-invent license to access the right impact categories, but you can do it. You can do it. LCA is an awesome tool for all of these. But let's see, we have another question. And also, please, if you have questions, bring it on. We still have a moment for questions. Vikas is asking me, how does one get the list of the processes in the parameter box? Let me show you. Let me see, I'm in the right organization. So we get out from here. Let's imagine we need to add a new parameter. We go to the parameter tab. Here, we click new parameter. What could be a good one? Stickers. Let's add stickers. We add stickers to the packaging. So when you're creating a new parameter, you name the parameter, and that should be a name that it's obvious for you what it is, but also for others who are using your cycle. Because when they are adding your cycle in there, they're able to change the parameters for their particular scenario. And that's also comes from the connected LCAs. The identifier is kind of like what is it called? The ID of it. So what you use in the formula. So I'm going to call it the same sticker. Then you have the choice of, is it a number parameters or a type or an option? An option was that I could choose that it's an apricot, peach, plums, and number is a simpler one to understand. That's, for example, weight, liters, anything like that. And I define that stickers, units. Now I have two options, or two, probably many more. I can say the stickers in kilos, square meters could be a good one, or units. I could just say unit. That's fully flexible. It's when you're using the parameters, you have to know that, oh yeah, I'm modeling in kilos or square meters. And let's put it actually in square meters. Mid value is Basically, when you add that value, that's what it's going to calculate your current model with. But of course, when you do scenarios, that's no longer the one you take. You might take a different value. So that's why it's called mid value and not current value. And let's say we have 0.01, probably even that's a huge one. Doesn't matter. You can add minimum and maximum values. That will be really useful when we have the slider, but it's not mandatory. And in my models, I actually haven't added in any of them. You click Save Parameter, and now you can see these are the data that it says stickers. In the brackets, you see the code for it, what you use in the formulas, the actual value you added, it's an options, and that it's not used anywhere. And now let's imagine I'm like, oops, yeah, I'm missing a 0 from there. I click edit, and you go back in here, add a value, and save. And then it's updated it. Now the next step is to add it somewhere. Let's add into packaging. I'm using the other one. I'm not using my awesome model. Okay. So we add here plastic sheet. Oh, I'm curious actually. Is there a sticker? Something that you should do when you're looking for data sets, use synonyms. EcoInvent has its own naming style. USEIO has its own naming style. Soon we are going to have XIO base. I'm sure they have their own namings. And because of British English, American English, there's a lot of things that you might find. So use synonyms, try with many. And for some reason, with sticker, these kind of weird things show up. Doesn't matter. We are going to add this digger into our process. Now I can add the parameter also from here. Look, the same thing. I click the equal sign like this. It opens here. And I can say that sticker, we multiply it by 0.1 minus 5. This is just a random formula so that you see how to do these. So you can do super sophisticated formulas, and you can also say that 5 times transportation. And of course, to make it more readable, you should use brackets depending on your formula. And then you say save, it calculated it, and that's it. We have a value. We reload the page, and now we have a minus value. But that should not stop us from demoing. So that's how you add new parameters. So currently the step is that first you have to create them, and then you use them in the processes. Soon you will be able to do it, or actually I will be. You are not able yet to use the parameters. So even if you log in, you don't see any of this. It will be in a way that when you're ready creating the formula, you can add one, because it's a logical moment that, oh yeah, I needed a parameter, and you will be add in there. We have 2 minutes left. I think we used quite well our time. Do you have any other questions that you would like? Or please also comment if there's any topics that you would like us to go through next time. I like tailoring these sessions to your needs, because the whole idea is that you learn how to use Earthster, or this is an introduction. So it's not a full training, but at least you know more or less what you're able to do. And anytime you need help with using Earthster, you click on the question mark, you click on help me, it opens this support portal. You can search for articles. For example, you say releases, and then it shows you all the articles that the word release shows up in. And then if you don't find a good documentation, what you're looking for, you click to messages and you send a message. And look, you're likely to have one automated message from me, but you can start a new one. And this is, you're saying that, hi there. And then someone from us, mostly me, answers when we're available. And this is how you do. That's customer support or in-app chat. And the same thing, you can access the documentation here. And the last one, take the tour, is when you create your first cycle, it walks you through the whole steps, how to set it up, what is a functional unit, what is a production unit, how you should use it, and all these things. So the app helps you a bit to get started. But of course, if you know the basics of LCA, your life is much easier than not knowing anything. But even then, you're able to use it. Okay, our time is up. So see you next time. About in a month, I will add the link to our next event in the comments. And in case you don't have yet your own account, go to earthster.org. Or even better, if you want to get a trial, we have a 2 weeks trial where you can try it. Send me a message and I'll hook you up with our sales team and they can get you access to the trial. And that's it from my side. Thank you all for a really lively conversation. I hope you find this useful and see you in a month.